Hello, everybody. Can I get a boom? The judge has ruled that there will be no continuance of the trial. It's going to start on August 11th. And there is going to be no offer of a third-party suspect by the defense team. The judges ruled against those. They tried to put 4 different people out there as possible suspects. I mean, isn't that already just desperate just in that element alone that they put 4? There wasn't some guy that they were really targeting. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So what I did was I had ChatGPT break it down, and we can just listen to the 2 rulings in short form. So let's take a listen to the first one right now. And this first one here is the alternate perpetrator. So here we go.
Redacted order on defendant's offer of proof RE, alternate perpetrators. Background. The state filed a motion in limine asking the court to prohibit the defense from introducing alternative perpetrator evidence unless evidentiary standards were met. The court allowed the defense to file an offer of proof, which included 4 named alternate individuals. The state objected, arguing that the evidence did not meet the standard established by State v. Meister 2009. Court's ruling. Defense's offer is denied. The court denies the defense's offer to present evidence about 4 alleged alternate perpetrators at trial. It rules the proffer is inadmissible under State v. Meister and irrelevant under Idaho Rule of Evidence 401 and excluded under Rule 403. Legal standards cited. 1. State v. Meister 2009. A defendant may only introduce alternative perpetrator evidence if it tends to make the defendant's guilt more or less probable. Evidence must be more than speculation or conjecture. 2. Idaho Rules of Evidence. Rule 401. Relevance must make a fact more or less probable. Rule 403. Even relevant evidence can be excluded if it causes unfair prejudice, confusion, or waste of time. Summary of the 4 proposed alternate perpetrators. First 3 individuals. Knew or interacted with the victims socially before the murders. Lived within walking distance to 1122 King Road. Had been inside the house. No motive, no means, no connection to the scene. DNA and fingerprints excluded. Cooperated with LA fully. Court. These facts at best show opportunity, but so do dozens of others. It's wild speculation to suggest they committed the crime.
Isn't that amazing, you guys? That's exactly what we hear on a daily basis from the Kohbergers out there. Just wild speculation with no nexus to the crime whatsoever. And they want everybody to go, wow, that's so interesting. And when you really look at it, it's not interesting at all, what they bring up. It's actually scary that people think like that and do things like that and try to name these other people out there that have absolutely nothing to do with the crime. And after the case goes to trial, I think some of the people out there making videos on these random people that have nothing to do with anything might be in some trouble. So let's continue on.
4th individual. Had a passing connection to one victim. Saw her in a store 5 weeks prior. Followed her briefly but didn't interact. Incident captured on surveillance video. Also provided DNA and cooperated. No connection to the scene. Court, this is not even close to being probative or exculpatory. Still just speculation.
I mean, the wording that Judge Hippler uses, he's actually really frustrated and angry at the fact that he even had to waste his time going over such a ridiculous argument by Ann Taylor, one of the laziest attorneys, in my opinion, on the face of the planet. Or Earth, as people would say.
Chambers versus Mississippi 1973 argument rejected. Defense cited Chambers to argue that hearsay evidence about third parties should be admitted. Court disagrees. Chambers only allows trustworthy exculpatory statements, not speculative hearsay. Exclusion under Rule 403. The court emphasized that this evidence would confuse the jury, force the state to defend against unsupported ghost suspects, waste time, risk unfairly blaming innocent people. What the defense can still do, they may. Cross-examine law enforcement on the thoroughness of the investigation, challenge how the state ruled out leads, but they cannot bring up specific individuals as alternate suspects without court approval and outside the jury's presence. Final order. Defendant's offer of proof RE, alternate perpetrators, is denied. Signed, Judge Stephen Hippler, dated June 26, 2025.
And that's exactly what most of us thought was going to be happening in this case. I mean, there is absolutely no other person that committed this crime, and there's no proof of anybody else. The DNA on the knife sheath was Brian Kohberger's. The white Elantra driving around, you may think is not his. However, the DNA on the knife sheath virtually proves that the white Elantra driving around without its front license plate is Brian Kohberger's, since he drove one just like that. All right? So there's so much more information out there. We put it all together all the time. And Brian Kohberger, in my opinion, is absolutely the killer. And when the trial happens, you'll all see exactly why. It's going to be an absolute blowout. All right, now this next segment here is the continuance. The defense team wanted to continue the trial, whining about not having enough time to go over the terabytes of data, which she's been saying, Ann Taylor, for the last couple of years, almost seeming disinterested in investigating and looking into the important things like surveillance footage. She just complains and complains over and over again. And also they were complaining about how Dateline put out that information and that they need a delay to handle that, but a further delay would probably allow more people to learn about it. And so the remedy, which I said on my show, would just be to create a longer period of time for jury selection, voir dire, where they can pick people that aren't familiar with the case. It might take longer to find those individuals. But here is the summary by ChatGPT.
Here's a detailed summary of the redacted memorandum decision and order on defendant's motion to continue, filed June 26, 2025, in the Brian Kohberger case. Case context: defendant, Brian C. Kohberger. Court, 4th Judicial District, Ada County, Idaho. Document type: court ruling on a defense motion to continue the trial date. Outcome: motion to continue denied. Introduction. Brian Kohberger requested a continuance trial delay for 3 reasons: overwhelming volume of discovery still to be reviewed, ongoing penalty phase mitigation investigation not completed, prejudicial media publicity. Dateline Amazon series James Patterson book. The state opposed the motion, calling it untimely and unsupported by good cause. Second legal standard: discretion to grant a continuance lies with the trial court. Defendant must prove that their substantial rights would be prejudiced without a delay. Courts do not automatically delay trials based on volume of evidence or media coverage unless it demonstrably affects fairness. Third analysis. A. Discovery review argument rejected. Defendant cited terabytes of data, thousands of tips, and alleged the state failed to meet deadlines. Court notes: defendant already made this same argument before and lost. No specific discovery items were cited as still needing review. No plan or timeline for completing the review was presented. Defense has had over 2 years, retained dozens of experts, and heavily litigated the case. Claiming discovery overload now appears to be tactical delay, not necessity. Defense failed to use court-suggested solutions to assist with the review. Notably, the court emphasized that most of the large-volume discovery, like surveillance video, is irrelevant and previously stipulated as such by the state. B. Mitigation investigation argument rejected. Defense claimed they needed more time to continue an exhaustive life history investigation, confirm red flags suggesting trauma or other mitigation, possibly change or expand expert opinions. Court's position: the defense's investigation was already extensive. School, mental health, family, interviews, expert diagnoses, etc. No credible evidence that further investigation is constitutionally required. Defense failed to show how more time would yield anything new or when the work would be complete. Court viewed it as another attempt to delay the trial without a solid endpoint or justification. Court: the Constitution does not demand a fishing expedition, pulling at every conceivable thread in defendant's familial tapestry.
Yeah, so it's interesting listening to Judge Hippler. I mean, he just uses common sense, logic, and reason. And Ann Taylor's games and tricks she's trying to play just aren't going to work on him.
C. Media publicity argument rejected. Defendant cited Dateline May 2025, Amazon Prime July 2025, and a book by James Patterson as grounds for delay. Court stance: media attention has been consistent and will not go away. A delay could worsen publicity, not lessen it. Comparisons to Shepard v. Maxwell were rejected. Media coverage here is far less egregious. Defendant already received a venue change from Latah to Ada County, which delayed the trial 10 more weeks. Court has taken measures to protect jury impartiality. Voir dire expanded. Witness contact with media restricted. Courtroom press management. Carefully selected jury is the correct tool, not a delay. D. Leaks and Brady material argument rejected. Defendant speculated that leaked material referenced in media could involve witnesses and trigger Brady-Giglio violations. Court's response: pure speculation, no known link between leakers and the state's witnesses. No proof leaks came from anyone subject to the court's order. Speculative fishing for potential impeachment info is not grounds to delay a trial. Trial cannot be held hostage to an open-ended investigation that may never resolve. Fourth order. Motion to continue denied. The trial will proceed as scheduled. The defense has not demonstrated good cause for delay. Specific prejudice to substantial rights. A concrete plan or timeline for needing more time. Key takeaways. The court is clearly losing patience with repeated discovery and mitigation delay arguments. Judge Hippler emphasized that speculation, delay tactics, or lack of preparation will not override the need for a timely trial. Kohberger's team did not meet the legal burden to justify a continuance despite the complexity of the case. Let me know.
All right. Well, there you go. I mean, just absolutely Judge Hippler laying the hammer down. Boom! Denied the continuance and the alternate suspect attempt by Ann Taylor. Very similar to the Delphi case. They weren't able to prove a nexus of any kind whatsoever. Just probably they got wind of some of these YouTube videos out there that had some of the crazy information in it. Again, none of those ever point to anybody specifically with any nexus to the crime. They just look at somebody, ooh, look at they look like, ooh, I heard they got a drug charge one time. Therefore, it's got to be connected to the case and blah, 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 blah. You know, it's really, really incredibly frustrating. And it's amazing how many people out there actually watch those people and think they're onto something. They're not. All right? So there you have it, everybody. We'll probably be talking about it later on the show. Thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.